If you're over 60, every bite you take, every vegetable you put on your plate, even the ones you've always believed were healthy, can have a powerful impact on your heart. But what if I told you that 9 vegetables, some of the most common ones in your kitchen right now, could be silently damaging your heart instead of protecting it? As a heart doctor with over 30 years of experience treating older adults, I've seen this story too many times. Patients walk into my clinic proud of their diets. Salads every day, smoothies full of greens, low sugar, no fried food, and yet they're still dealing with high blood pressure, shortness of breath, irregular heart rhythms, or worse. Why? Because the truth is, not every vegetable is heart-friendly after 60, especially when eaten the wrong way, in the wrong amount, or alongside common medications. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 9 vegetables that may be quietly harming your heart and what you should eat instead. So, please stay with me. The first one might already be sitting in your fridge, and the last one could change how you look at healthy eating forever. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell, so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1 spinach when heart medicine becomes powerless. If you're over 60 and taking blood thinners for your heart, maybe it's Warren, maybe it's aspirin. What I'm about to tell you could mean the difference between protection and danger, between staying well and facing a life-threatening event. Spinach, that vibrant green vegetable we've been told for decades is a superfood, isn't the enemy. But after age 60, your body doesn't respond to food the same way it used to. What once protected your health can now quietly sabotage it, especially when it's eaten in ways that ignore the delicate balance of your medications. Spinach is rich in vitamin K, which plays a key role in how your blood clots. Now, that may sound like a good thing, especially if you've ever been told you're low in certain vitamins. But here's the catch. If you are taking anticoagulants, especially warfarin coadin, this vitamin can undo the very thing your medication is trying to accomplish. Warfarin works by thinning your blood just enough to prevent dangerous clots. Clots that can cause strokes, heart attacks, or even sudden death. But when you consume too much vitamin K, especially in inconsistent amounts, it interferes with Warfarin's effectiveness. The blood becomes too thick. The medication loses its power. And tragically, many seniors have no idea this interaction is even happening inside their bodies. I'll never forget one of my patients, Mrs. Ellie Thompson, 72, a retired school teacher from Wisconsin. She came to my clinic after suffering what we call a silent TIA, a min-stroke. She had done everything right, or so she thought. She walked daily. She avoided fried food. She didn't drink. But she'd also been blending green smoothies every morning with a heaping cup of raw spinach, thinking she was doing something good for her heart. When I checked her blood work, I found her INR levels, a test that measures how long it takes your blood to clot, were dangerously low. That meant her blood had become too thick, increasing the risk of clot formation. She was shocked. No one had told her that too much spinach could actually cancel out her medication. The most tragic part, she had no symptoms before the TIA. No warning signs, just a smoothie every morning that quietly stripped her medicine of its ability to protect her. This isn't about blaming spinach. It's about understanding that consistency and communication are everything. If you eat spinach once in a while, your body can adjust. But if you suddenly add it to your diet every day, or stop it altogether without telling your doctor, you put yourself at real risk. So here's what I want you to know. Always tell your doctor if you're making changes to your diet, especially with greens. Eat foods like spinach in moderation and consistently, not in large, unpredictable amounts. If you love spinach, don't panic. Just build it into your meal plan thoughtfully and get your INR checked regularly. Because even the healthiest food in the world can turn harmful when the body and medication fall out of balance. And sadly, most of the seniors I treat had no idea until it was too late. Now, if spinach, a food celebrated for its heart health benefits, can so easily interfere with life-saving medications, then what about the vegetables that don't just interfere but actively burden your heart with something even more dangerous? What if I told you that the next one is crunchy, tangy, and sitting quietly in your fridge right now, yet contains more sodium than a bag of chips. Stay with me. What comes next might shock you. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now, let's move on to point number 2. 2 pickled cucumbers, the salty trap that's tightening around your heart. Pickles, crunchy, tangy, refreshing. For many older Americans, they're a nostalgic food found next to a deli sandwich or served at Sunday lunch. They feel harmless, even healthy. After all, they're made from cucumbers, right? A vegetable. But what most seniors don't realize is that those few slices on your plate may be quietly pushing your blood pressure higher each day and putting your heart under a burden it can no longer bear. I'll never forget Mrs. Evelyn, a warm-hearted 78-year-old widow who came to see me for ongoing high blood pressure. She had done everything her previous doctors had recommended: no fried foods, daily walking, even meditation. Yet, her blood pressure stayed stubbornly high. "It doesn't make sense, Doc," she said. "I've given up chips. I don't eat bacon anymore. I'm doing everything right." It wasn't until I reviewed her food diary that I spotted the problem: a generous helping of pickles every day with lunch. Here's what most seniors don't know. Pickled cucumbers are not simply cucumbers. They are cucumbers soaked in a salty brine, a preservation method that can pack over 1,000 nanomolar of sodium into just a few slices. That's more than 2-3 of the daily sodium limit recommended for older adults in a single serving. As harmless as it may sound, is a direct enemy of your heart when consumed in excess after age 60. When you eat salty foods, your body retains water to balance the sodium in your bloodstream. That extra fluid increases your blood volume, which means your heart has to pump harder to move blood through your vessels. Over time, this leads to stiffening of the arteries, increased pressure inside the heart, and in many cases, chronic heart failure. The scary part: most people feel nothing until the damage is done. In Evelyn's case, her daily pickle habit combined with her naturally aging kidneys meant she couldn't eliminate sodium as efficiently as she did in her younger years. Her heart was working harder silently every day. She had no symptoms until one afternoon when she experienced sudden chest tightness and shortness of breath while walking to her mailbox. That episode led to a hospital stay where she was diagnosed with early-stage congestive heart failure. This isn't just about pickles, it's about awareness. High-sodium foods are hiding everywhere: canned vegetables, store-bought soups, processed condiments, and they don't always taste salty. What's more, as we age, our taste buds change, and we often don't notice we're consuming more sodium because it no longer registers as intensely. And here's the heartbreaking irony. Many seniors are cutting back on sugar, fats, even red meat, but forgetting to watch sodium, the quiet killer. You don't need to eliminate flavor to protect your heart. Season with herbs like rosemary, thyme, or basil. Use lemon juice or vinegar for tanginess. These bring flavor without raising your blood pressure. Evelyn is doing better now. She swapped her pickles for sliced cucumbers with a splash of apple cider vinegar and herbs. It wasn't easy, but her blood pressure has stabilized, and she told me she feels lighter and more in control of her health than she has in years. Your heart after 60 is strong, but it's not invincible. The foods you ate freely in your 30s and 40s can become dangerous as your body changes. Salt is one of the most underestimated risks for aging hearts. But what if salt isn't the only hidden danger? What if something far spicier, something we associate with culture, flavor, and comfort, is quietly lighting a fuse inside your chest? Let me show you what that is next. 3. Red chili peppers, the fiery ingredient that's fueling your heart's downfall. We Americans love our flavor. For many of us, especially those over 60, a little heat in our food brings back fond memories of backyard barbecues, spicy gumbo in Grandma's kitchen, or that homemade chili recipe passed down through generations. Red chili peppers, whether sprinkled into a stew or crushed onto a slice of pizza, feel comforting, familiar, and alive. But for the aging heart, that fiery little pepper may be doing far more harm than good. Let me introduce you to Mr. Raymond, a 72-year-old retired firefighter from Kentucky, who came to my clinic with chest palpitations and occasional dizziness. He had always been strong, stoic, the kind of man who never took a sick day. When I asked about his diet, he laughed and said, "Doc, I like it
Cayenne
hot.
in my eggs,
Hot sauce
jalapenos
on
on my
burgers. That's just how I eat." But what Raymond didn't realise, and what many seniors don't, is that the same heat he loved was overstimulating his cardiovascular system every single day. Here's the science behind it. Red chili peppers contain capsaicin, the compound that gives them their heat. While capsaicin does have some benefits like mild pain relief or appetite control, it also activates your sympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for your fight-or-flight response. That means a spike in adrenaline, increased heart rate, tighter blood vessels, and a rise in blood pressure. For a healthy 30-year-old, this reaction might go unnoticed. But after 60, it becomes a real threat. The arteries stiffen with age, the heart becomes less flexible, and sudden surges in pressure or rhythm can push a weakened cardiovascular system into dangerous territory. Mr. Raymond's heart had been put under daily stress. Not from lack of exercise, not from cholesterol, but from a diet that sent it into alert every meal. After a thorough review, we connected the dots. His symptoms, heart racing after dinner, mild headaches and sleep disturbances, were directly tied to his excessive intake of spicy foods. We ran a 48-hour heart monitor, and sure enough, after every spicy meal, his heart rhythm shifted into abnormal patterns. Not enough to stop it yet, but enough to wear it down over time. Capsaicin also contributes to chronic low-grade inflammation in the blood vessels, particularly with regular consumption. Inflammation damages the lining of the arteries, paving the way for plaque buildup, poor circulation, and eventually heart disease. It's like sandpaper rubbing against your blood vessels meal after meal. And here's the part that surprised him most. The damage wasn't painful, at least not yet. That's what makes it so dangerous. You don't feel a clogged artery. You don't sense the inflammation. You feel fine until you're not. So, we made changes. Raymond didn't have to give up flavour, just the fire. He switched to heart-friendly herbs like garlic in cooked form, rosemary, turmeric, and fresh lemon zest. He began to enjoy meals that warmed the soul, not ignited the heart. Within 6 weeks, his palpitations stopped. His blood pressure stabilised. He said to me, "Doc, I never thought food could make me feel that much calmer." For those of you listening, I want to be clear. You don't have to suffer through bland food, but the way we season our plates at 70 shouldn't look the same as it did at 30. The older we get, the more carefully we need to listen to our bodies, our hearts, and even our meals. And if a sprinkle of spice can silently trigger your heart into stress mode, what about a so-called healing food that when eaten raw can thin your blood too far, turning natural medicine into hidden danger? Let's look at that next. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now, let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Raw garlic. When nature's medicine turns against your heart, garlic has long held a sacred place in the minds and kitchens of many older Americans. It's been celebrated in folk medicine and modern science alike for its power to lower cholesterol, reduce blood pressure, and thin the blood, making it to many a natural miracle. For decades, I've heard patients say, "Doc, I don't need pills. I take garlic every day. It's nature's cure." But what they often don't realize is that even nature has limits, and when combined with the wrong medication or taken in the wrong form, garlic can become more dangerous than healing, especially for aging hearts. Let me introduce you to Em Helen, a 76-year-old widow from Georgia with a deep love for home remedies. She came into my office one winter after she experienced 2 episodes of lightheadedness and a fainting spell while cleaning her kitchen. When we reviewed her blood medications,
pressure was unusually
lisinopril for hypertension and a low-dose aspirin for heart protection, everything looked appropriate. But something wasn't adding up. Her blood work revealed a slightly elevated INR, indicating her blood was thinner than it should be. That's when she mentioned, "I eat 2 raw garlic cloves every morning. Been doing it for years. My mother swore by it. Here's what's important to understand. Raw garlic contains allicin, a powerful compound that, among other things, acts as a natural blood thinner. For someone not on medication, this might offer some cardiovascular benefit. But when you're over 60 and already taking antiplatelets like aspirin or anticoagulants like warfarin or apixaban, that natural thinning effect can become dangerously exaggerated. The result: increased risk of internal bleeding, nosebleeds, black or tarry stools, fatigue or, in worst cases, hemorrhagic stroke, bleeding in the brain. Helen's fainting wasn't due to overexertion. It was her body sending a warning. Her blood pressure was crashing because her blood was too thin and her heart couldn't maintain circulation effectively. She didn't feel sick. She didn't feel pain. And yet, she was at the edge of a crisis. This is where age changes everything. A younger body might buffer the effects of raw garlic, but as we grow older, our liver metabolizes compounds more slowly. Our kidneys clear waste less efficiently, and our vascular system becomes more fragile. What once gave your body strength in your 40s may now tip it into imbalance. That's not failure, that's biology. And recognizing that is not weakness, it's wisdom. Garlic is not the enemy, it's the lack of context and communication. If you enjoy garlic, the safest way for your heart is to use it cooked and use it in moderate amounts. Cooking reduces the potency of allicin while still preserving many of garlic's antioxidant benefits. But most importantly, always inform your doctor if you are using garlic regularly, especially in raw form. It's not about stopping tradition. It's about tailoring it to the stage of life you're in. Miss Helen was able to continue using garlic, but we adjusted how. She now roasts it with her vegetables and includes it in soups, avoiding the raw form altogether. Her blood pressure stabilized, her fining spells stopped. And she told me, I didn't have to give up what I love. I just had to respect it. So many seniors trust garlic, and rightfully so. But the key is knowing how it fits into your larger health picture, especially when medications are involved. Food doesn't work in isolation. It either works with your body or against it. And if something as simple and trusted as garlic can become dangerous in silence, what if a vegetable praised for its freshness and vitality could actually be hiding dangerous bacteria? Ones your aging heart and immune system may no longer be able to fight. Let's talk about that next. 5. Raw sprouts. The innocent crunch that could break a senior's heart. They look fresh, vibrant, full of life. Raw sprouts like alfalfa, mung bean, radish or clover are often seen as the symbol of clean eating. You find them sprinkled over salads at trendy cafes, tucked into veggie wraps, or proudly displayed in the produce section with labels like superfood or gut-friendly. For many health-conscious seniors, tossing a handful of raw sprouts on a sandwich or into a salad feels like making a smart, heart-healthy choice. But what if I told you that this crisp, innocent-looking garnish might carry the very bacteria your aging immune system is no longer equipped to fight? That it could quietly introduce an infection into your body? One that could attack your heart from the inside? Let me tell you about George. He's a 68-year-old retired firefighter from Minnesota. Strong-willed, proud of staying in shape, and deeply committed to eating healthy after his bypass surgery. When I first met George, he was doing all the right things. No red meat, no sugar, plenty of water and salads every day. But one afternoon, he was rushed to the ER with a high fever, confusion, and a racing heart. It wasn't a stroke. It wasn't a heart attack. It was something else entirely. Infective endocarditis, a dangerous infection of the inner lining of the heart. The culprit, contaminated raw alfalfa sprouts he had eaten just days before. Sprouts grow in warm, moist environments, the perfect breeding ground for E. coli, salmonella, and listeria. While a younger immune system might fight these bacteria off with nothing more than an upset stomach, seniors aren't so lucky. After 60, your immune defences weaken naturally. Your body becomes slower to respond, slower to heal, and less capable of neutralising dangerous microbes. What begins as mild digestive discomfort can quickly spiral into sepsis, dehydration, or heart infection, especially in individuals who have heart valve damage, pacemakers, or a history of cardiovascular disease. George had no idea that something so small, so seemingly healthy, could pose such a risk. His infection required a month of IV antibiotics and several days in the cardiac care unit. He later told me, "I thought I was doing everything right, Doc. I didn't even know sprouts could make you sick like that." The tragedy is that George's story isn't rare. Every year, outbreaks linked to contaminated sprouts surface across the country, and yet these foods continue to be sold raw without warning labels, leaving the most vulnerable, our seniors, at risk. Here's what every older adult should know. Raw doesn't always mean healthy. Fresh doesn't always mean safe. If you enjoy the taste or texture of sprouts, you don't have to give them up completely, but they should be cooked, lightly steamed, sautéed, or added at the end of a hot stir-fry. That simple step can kill harmful bacteria while preserving the crunch and nutrition. You can still enjoy the benefits without putting your heart, your health, or your life on the line. Our generation grew up believing food from the earth couldn't hurt us. But times have changed, and so have our bodies. Your heart today needs more than good intentions. It needs protection. And protection starts by knowing where the hidden dangers lie, even in a bowl of salad. Because if something as small as a raw sprout can open the door to a life-threatening infection, what about vegetables that aren't dangerous on their own, but turn harmful when combined with common heart medication sitting in your cabinet right now? Let's uncover that next. 6. When healthy vegetables turn harmful, the hidden danger of food and medication interactions. Most of us grew up believing that if something is fresh, green, and comes from the earth, it must be good for us. And for the most part, that's true. But as we age, and especially after 60, our bodies become more sensitive, not just to what we eat, but to how it interacts with the medications we rely on to stay alive. What many seniors don't realise is that even the healthiest vegetables can become dangerous when paired with common heart medications. Let me tell you about Mrs. Diane, a 73-year-old retired schoolteacher from Pennsylvania. She had been living with atrial fibrillation and mild heart failure for a few years and was doing quite well. She stayed active, took her meds faithfully, beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, and a low-dose blood thinner, and followed a diet filled with fruits and vegetables. But one afternoon, she came into my clinic feeling weak, dizzy, and confused. Her heart rate was irregular, and her blood pressure had dropped significantly. We ran labs and reviewed her recent habits. That's when we found the connection. Diane had recently started drinking large amounts of grapefruit juice and eating broccoli and Brussels sprouts almost daily. But here's the issue: she was boosting her nutrition. Both of those vegetables, and especially grapefruit, can interfere with how medications are absorbed and broken down by the liver, particularly those processed through a group of enzymes called CYP450. What does that mean in everyday terms? Well, imagine your medication is designed to be released and removed from your body in a timed, controlled way. When certain vegetables or fruits like grapefruit, broccoli, or even green tea are introduced, they can block or overactivate that natural cycle. In Diane's case, her medications built up in her bloodstream instead of being processed normally. The result? Too much effect from her heart medication, a heart rate that dropped too low, blood pressure that dipped dangerously, and symptoms that mimicked a near-fainting episode. This isn't an isolated case. Many vegetables, especially the ones high in vitamin K, potassium, or natural plant compounds, can unintentionally alter how your medications work. Kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, spinach, while nutritious, can reduce the effectiveness of blood thinners. On the flip side, vegetables high in potassium like tomatoes, potatoes, and squash can raise potassium levels to unsafe levels if you're on ACE inhibitors or potassium-sparing diuretics. And it's not just the nutrients, it's the frequency and volume. A small serving now and then usually fine, but consistent large amounts without telling your doctor. That's when trouble begins. Diane didn't do anything wrong. She was eating the way she thought was right. But no one had told her that a healthy food for one person can be a dangerous mismatch for another, especially when medication is part of daily life. After adjusting her diet, spacing out her servings, and working closely with her pharmacist and cardiologist, she felt better in a matter of days. But the lesson stayed with her and with me. If you're over 60, your medications and your meals have to speak the same language. One shouldn't cancel out the other. Always ask your doctor or pharmacist about food and drug interactions. Not just for packaged products, but for the vegetables and drinks you consume every day. Because even the most wholesome food, when misunderstood, can quietly disrupt the healing process. And if food can interfere this deeply with your medicine, what about those vegetables that don't interfere with drugs, but simply overwhelm your digestion, leaving your heart working harder just to cope? Let's take a closer look at that next. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 7. 7. Raw cabbage. The healthy vegetable that's quietly pressuring your heart and lungs. Raw cabbage shows up in many senior diets, and on the surface, it makes sense. It's light, crunchy, low in calories, and easy to toss into a salad or coleslaw. It carries the image of clean eating, often replacing heavier sides and appearing on health-conscious menus across America. But for the aging body, especially those managing heart conditions or lung issues, raw cabbage may not be the friend you think it is. In fact, it might be quietly increasing pressure inside your body, literally pressing against your heart from within. I met Mr. Leonard, a 75-year-old retired truck driver from Missouri, during one of my routine cardiac checkups. He had recently lost weight, was eating more vegetables and trying to stay off the junk. He was proud of the fact that he made his own cabbage salads every day, often eating them raw. But Leonard had also started noticing something new: bloating, tightness in his chest after meals, and shortness of breath when lying down. At first, he thought it might be indigestion or just getting older, but when I examined him, it became clear his symptoms were not just gastrointestinal, they were cardiopulmonary. His bloating wasn't just uncomfortable, it was physically pushing upward on his diaphragm, putting pressure on his lungs and making it harder for his heart to expand fully between beats. Raw cabbage, like other cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, contains complex fibers and fermentable carbohydrates known as FODMAPs. These substances ferment in the gut, especially in slower-moving digestive systems like those of older adults. The result is often gas, abdominal distension and pressure buildup, which might be a nuisance in youth but can become a serious concern after 60. When your abdomen becomes distended with gas or bloating, it physically crowds your thoracic cavity, the space where your lungs and heart operate. This can limit your ability to breathe deeply and strain a heart that may already be compensating for issues like valve stiffness, prior heart damage, or congestive heart failure. For people like Leonard, who already had mild diastolic dysfunction, a common condition where the heart has trouble relaxing between beats, that pressure becomes more than discomfort. It becomes a barrier to proper heart function. We changed Leonard's routine, not by cutting cabbage entirely, but by cooking it lightly instead of eating it raw. He began sautéing or steaming his cabbage, which helped break down the tougher fibers and reduce fermentation. The results were almost immediate: less bloating, easier breathing, and a new level of comfort after meals. "I didn't know food could press against my heart like that," he told me, "but now I feel like I can actually breathe after lunch." These are the kinds of lessons that don't come from TV commercials or food labels. They come from listening to your body and understanding how even healthy vegetables need to be adjusted with age. Your digestion slows down, your diaphragm sits higher, your heart may already be under strain. So we don't stop eating well. We simply eat in a way that respects what the body needs now, not what it tolerated 30 years ago. And if a raw, crunchy salad can press against your heart and limit your breath, what happens when you reach for a vegetable that's been sitting in a can loaded with preservatives and hidden salt, disguised as convenient but quietly building pressure in your arteries? We need to talk about that next. 8. Canned vegetables. The healthy food sneaking salt into your heart. When we think of canned vegetables, we often picture convenience and good intentions: shelf-stable green beans, sweet corn, or peas tucked away in the pantry for a quick side dish. For seniors, especially those living alone or on a fixed income, canned goods feel like a smart, accessible option. After all, it's vegetables, right? It's not fast food. It's not processed meat. So, what could possibly be wrong with that? A lot more than most people realize, especially when you're over 60, managing blood pressure and trying to protect your heart from long-term damage. Let me tell you about Mr. Roy, an 83-year-old widower from rural Georgia. He was living independently, cooking for himself, and trying to make heart-healthy choices. He had survived a mild stroke 3 years earlier and was determined to avoid another. When I asked him about his diet, he told me proudly, "I don't eat junk. I open a can of green beans or carrots every day. Easy, quick, and better than nothing." But Roy's blood pressure told another story. Despite his medication, it remained stubbornly high. We tried adjusting doses, modifying his fluid intake, even adding a second. That's when I asked him to bring in his food labels, but nothing seemed to help. And there it was in plain print. One can of healthy green beans had over 500 mg of sodium per serving, and Roy was eating the whole can. You see, canned vegetables, though they start out wholesome, are often packed in brine or salted water to preserve them. That added sodium may not taste overwhelmingly salty, but it accumulates quickly. For older adults, the recommended daily limit of sodium is around 1,500 micrograms. Just 2 servings of canned veggies can quietly push you well past that, and that's without counting the salt in bread, sauces, or soups. As we age, our kidneys lose efficiency. Our blood vessels stiffen, and the heart works harder to pump blood through narrowed or less elastic arteries. Sodium acts like a sponge. It retains fluid in your bloodstream, increases volume, and raises blood pressure, adding tremendous strain on an aging heart. The worst part, it's silent. There are no warning signs until the damage is already underway. Swelling in the ankles, headaches, shortness of breath, or even heart failure. For Roy, simply switching to low sodium or no salt added versions made a world of difference. He started rinsing canned veggies before eating them and added flavor with herbs and lemon instead of salt. Within 6 weeks, his blood pressure began to stabilize, and we were able to reduce his medication slightly. "Doc," he told me, "I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I thought vegetables were always good. That's the heartbreaking part. I see so many seniors trying their best, doing what they've been told is healthy, only to be misled by hidden ingredients. It's not about guilt, it's about awareness. Always read labels. Choose frozen or fresh vegetables when possible, and if you rely on canned goods, look for no salt-added varieties, and rinse them thoroughly under water before cooking or eating, because in this season of life the small choices on your plate matter more than ever. And sometimes the damage comes not from what you taste, but from what you don't. And if salt can hide so easily in a can of green beans, what about vegetables that look perfectly healthy but due to age or storage, lose their nutrients and become empty calories or worse, cause your blood sugar and blood pressure to spike unexpectedly? Let's explore that next. 9. Overdoing heart-healthy veggies, when too much of a good thing becomes a silent threat. We've all been told to eat our vegetables. It's one of the first lessons we learn as children, and it stayed with us for life. Spinach, beets, kale, sweet potatoes. These are names we associate with health, strength, and longevity. But here's something most seniors are never told. Even the healthiest vegetables can become dangerous when consumed in excess, especially after age 60. When the body processes nutrients, medications, and digestion differently than it did in your younger years, take Mr. Franklin, a 79-year-old retired piano teacher from Pennsylvania, a kind, soft-spoken man who believed deeply in natural health. After a mild heart attack, he became dedicated to turning his life around. No more processed foods, daily walks, and a strict plant-based diet. He filled his plate with kale, beets, spinach, and sweet potatoes every single day in large portions. "Doctor," he told me proudly, "I haven't touched a donut in 6 months. I live on the good stuff now." But a few months later, fatigue, Franklin returned occasional to my muscle office weakness with and lightheadedness. His blood work showed elevated potassium levels, and his blood pressure had dropped lower than expected. When we reviewed his diet, the picture became clear. Beets and spinach are high in oxalates, compounds that when eaten in large quantities can strain kidney function and in susceptible individuals contribute to kidney stones or reduced filtration. Spinach and kale, especially raw, are also rich in vitamin K, which, if inconsistent with blood thinner use, can increase the risk of clotting or internal bleeding. Sweet potatoes and other starchy root vegetables, while packed with fibre and nutrients, are also high in potassium, a mineral that's essential but dangerous in excess when paired with common heart medications like ACE inhibitors or potassium-sparing diuretics. In short, Franklin had made a beautiful effort to heal his heart, but he was unintentionally overwhelming his system with too much of the very things he believed were helping. That's the hidden truth. After 60, your body doesn't just need more healthy food, it needs the right amount, the right combination, and the right timing. What used to be a superfood can now be a stressor if not eaten wisely. We adjusted Franklin's portions, rotated his vegetables, and added in gentler greens like zucchini, green beans, and cooked carrots. His potassium levels returned to normal, his energy improved, and he said something I'll never forget. Turns out even the good guys need limits, huh, Doc? Yes, they do. Because your body after 60 is more like a classic car. It still runs beautifully, but it needs precision. It needs balance, not overload, and it definitely needs a steady hand behind the wheel. So, if even the most heart-healthy vegetables can become harmful in excess, what should you eat to truly nourish and protect your heart after 60? Let's explore the vegetables that love your heart back gently, consistently, and wisely. 10. Instead, eat these vegetables that truly support your heart after 60. By the time you reach your 60s, your heart has already beaten over 2 billion times, working faithfully without asking for much in return. But now, in these golden years, your heart needs something from you. Wisdom. The kind of wisdom that comes not from health fads or magazine headlines, but from understanding your body's new needs. And that begins with knowing what foods truly serve your heart, not just in theory, but in practice every day. The truth is, after 60, your metabolism slows down. Digestion becomes more sensitive, and the way your body absorbs nutrients and medications changes dramatically. Your arteries lose flexibility. Your kidneys filter more slowly. What worked for you at 40 may now quietly be working against you. But that doesn't mean food becomes the enemy. On the contrary, food, when chosen wisely, can still be your most powerful medicine. Let me tell you about Mrs. Ruby, 83 years old, a retired nurse from Georgia. She came to me with borderline high blood pressure and fatigue. She wasn't on any major medications yet and wanted to keep it that way. "I want to stay ahead of this thing," she said. "I've taken care of others my whole life. Now it's time I take care of me." So we built her meals around vegetables that didn't just look healthy, but were proven by research to support aging hearts gently without overwhelming her system. And within just 3 months, Ruby saw her energy return, her numbers stabilize, and her sense of peace deepen. Here's what we focused on. We started with steamed broccoli and green beans, 2 vegetables that are low in sodium, high in fiber, and packed with antioxidants that help reduce inflammation in the arteries. When lightly cooked, they're easy to digest and don't interfere with common heart medications. Green beans in particular are a quiet powerhouse. They provide potassium and magnesium, which help regulate blood pressure without the risk of overloading the system like some other potassium-rich foods. We included cooked carrots, sweet, familiar, and comforting. Carrots are rich in beta-carotene, which supports blood vessel health, and their natural sweetness helps curb cravings for processed snacks that are often loaded with salt. When roasted or gently boiled, they provide a soothing, heart-friendly side dish that never feels like diet food. We added zucchini, sautéed with a little olive oil and fresh herbs. Zucchini is mild, hydrating, and low in calories, yet it brings a valuable dose of vitamin C and soluble fiber, which supports cholesterol control. It's also low in oxalates, making it a safer choice for seniors concerned about kidney health. Next came sweet potatoes, but in moderation. Their rich colour signals a high level of antioxidants, especially beta-carotene, and they offer natural fibre and complex carbohydrates that help stabilise blood sugar. When baked instead of fried, sweet potatoes become a slow-burning fuel that doesn't spike your insulin or tax your heart. And then, of course, cooked tomatoes. Unlike their raw form, cooked tomatoes release lycopene, a potent antioxidant shown to improve endothelial function, the lining of your blood vessels. Lycopene has been linked to a reduced risk of heart disease, and pairing it with a small amount of olive oil can improve its absorption. Lastly, we reintroduced kale, but only gently sautéed and in small regular portions. While raw kale can interfere with certain medications, lightly cooked kale is a rich source of vitamins A and C as well as fibre. It supports arterial health and helps reduce oxidative stress on the heart. All these vegetables have one thing in common. They are gentle on the digestive system, low in sodium, rich in fibre and antioxidants. And most importantly, they work in harmony with the medications and changes of an aging body. They don't overwhelm, they don't conflict, they nourish, heal and sustain. Mrs. Ruby still eats this way, and she tells me every time she comes in I feel light, I feel steady. I feel like my body is working with me again, not against me. That's what I want for you. Because these vegetables don't just protect your heart, they bring life back to your plate. They restore trust between you and your body. And when you eat with awareness, with intention, and with care, every bite becomes a form of love for yourself, for your future, and for the people who want to see you stay strong. So now that you know which vegetables to welcome into your kitchen and onto your plate, what else can you do beyond food to strengthen and protect a heart that's already given you so much? Let's take one final moment to talk about that. Final reflection. Your heart still has time, and so do you. By the time you reach your 60s, 70s or 80s, you've lived through more than most people can imagine. You've loved, lost, raised families, served your communities, fought personal battles, and found your strength again and again. Your heart has been with you through it all, beating without pause, without complaint. It has asked for nothing, but it has given you everything. But now it's asking for your attention. As a physician who's worked with older adults for decades, I've seen the same story play out over and over again. People who've made it through life's hardest moments. Illness, loss, financial hardship, raising children alone, somehow still find themselves caught off guard by something as seemingly small as food. But food, especially after 60, isn't just fuel. It becomes part of your treatment, part of your story, part of your healing. Let me be honest with you. There is no perfect diet. But what I do know, there is no one what I've learned not from textbooks miracle, but from my patients, is that small consistent choices matter far more than grand unsustainable ones. You don't have to eat like a monk. You don't have to give up all pleasure. You just have to start listening to your body and learning how to live in harmony with the new reality of aging. That's the part no one tells you about growing older. Your body changes in ways that are invisible, subtle and sometimes confusing. The same spinach that kept you strong at 40 can now interfere with your blood thinners. The pickles that added zest to your sandwich now raise your blood pressure. Even garlic, trusted for generations, can become a risk if you're taking the wrong medication alongside it. But here's the good news. Your body is still listening. It's still healing. It's still capable of change. One of the greatest lies people believe after 60 is that it's too late. I can't tell you how many seniors have walked into my office carrying regret. I wish I had taken better care of myself earlier, they say. And yet those same people, when they begin to make better choices, more water, less salt, more awareness, less guesswork, they start to feel better. Their blood pressure drops, their energy returns, they sleep more deeply, their minds feel clearer. It's never too late to start protecting your heart. Not at 60, not at 75, not even at 90. But it starts with a mindset shift. Stop thinking of your diet as punishment or limitation, and begin to see it as a daily act of love toward the body that has carried you all these years. This isn't about perfection. It's about participation. You don't need to overhaul your life in one day. Just start by asking one small question at each meal. Is this feeding my heart, or is it working against it? And if you don't know the answer, that's okay. That's why we're here. Your doctors, your caregivers, your community. You're not alone in this journey. In fact, your wisdom is your greatest tool. Unlike younger people who still believe they're invincible, you already know that life is fragile. You've lost people you loved. You've seen the price of ignoring the body's warnings. And you've learned sometimes the hard way that health is not something to be taken for granted. So now, in this chapter of life, you have the chance to choose differently, not from fear, but from respect for your body, your time, and the life you still want to live. Your heart still has time to get stronger, time to heal. Time to keep showing up for the people who need you, your grandchildren, your partner, your community, yourself. And it's not just about avoiding a heart attack. It's about living with more energy, fewer medications, less pain. It's about walking to the mailbox without getting winded. It's about playing cards without feeling foggy. It's about enjoying meals without worrying they'll hurt you. That is the power of small choices made with awareness. So I'll leave you with this. Your next heartbeat is a gift. So is your next meal. So is your next chance to say, I choose to take care of myself today. Not for perfection, not for appearance, but for the sacred responsibility of honoring the life you still have left to live. Let's start there together, one wise bite at a time. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.